Today, I'm joined by Natasha Vandenhurk, CEO and co-founder of Three Farmers Foods, a company that's taken Saskatchewan-grown ingredients and built them into a growing global food brand. From partnering directly with farmers to recently winning the Chatelaine Pantry Awards in 2026, there is a lot behind this story of Three Farmers. Natasha, thank you for joining us here today. And if you could, take me back into how on earth you started Three Farmer Foods.
Yeah, we sort of had an unconventional start. I would say it was an accident almost. So we always like to say it really did start with our three farmers. So it's my dad and two neighboring farmers. If anyone knows any farmers from the prairies of Canada, they know that it's many of their dreams to take their raw commodities to market in a more direct fashion. So adding value to the crops that they grow at home. And so these three farmers were no different. They wanted to add value. They wanted to move up the food chain and get closer to that consumer. And so I jumped on board to help them do just that. And so it was an idea that was sort of sparked just one night shooting the shit at the curling rink. And so we decided to go for it. So we actually started with a product called camelina oil, a really unique oil seed that they grow here in the prairies. And, that's where we sort of cut our teeth in understanding consumer packaged goods. And then the brand grew from there. In 2015, we launched our first Better For You snack item, which was a roasted chickpea. And that's what pulled us into manufacturing. And we've never looked back.
Unreal. And I don't think there could actually anything be more Saskatchewan than shooting the shit at the curling rink and coming up with an idea. Yeah. So, that's not only Canadian, that's Saskatchewan in a nutshell, for sure.
Yeah, so definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So you started then with the oil, you moved into chickpeas, and now your major product they have on shelves is fava beans, correct?
Yeah.
What did that look like? Why the transition from chickpeas to fava beans?
Well, I think, we started with chickpeas because chickpeas are so much more known to the consumer. Consumers are aware they're high in protein, they're high in fiber. So they're just a more well-known legume to the general consumer. But fava beans are just so much more interesting. They're higher in protein, they're higher in fiber, they're extremely sustainable. So nitrogen fixing crops, similar to chickpeas. But they're just a really unique crop. And then sensory wise, they're actually more appealing to a broader consumer base than even chickpeas. Chickpeas definitely have that more beany sensory to them. They're a little bit drier. And so we think that going forward, fava beans will continue to be a very big part of our portfolio.
So if we do take a step back though, getting into that consumable good market is not only difficult, it's scary too, right? Yeah. So when did you think that, was there a moment where you're like, I think we might be onto something here?
Yeah, I think you have to cling to those little wins and those little moments along the way. Otherwise, you'd probably never survive this journey. So, if we want to rewind all the way back to the beginning, that first moment where we thought, wow, I think we're onto something, was something as minuscule as bottling up 18 bottles of camelina oil and selling out within the first hour of being at the Saskatoon Farmers Market. Really, if you want to rewind all the way to the beginning. And so that little win was the catalyst to packing up the vehicle and driving to Toronto for trade shows and just knocking on retail doors for listings, right? And then you get a few yeses there, and those little wins propel you on to the next step, which is distribution with larger retailers and formal distributors. So, I think there's not really one win along the way that was like, we're going to make it. It's the little wins along the way, every month or every 6 months or whatever that, whenever you need it, that little boost that keeps you going. And they're all really important because otherwise this feels very overwhelming and far too challenging to take on. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So did you ever at any point early on in the journey, I guess, if we think about the entrepreneurial journey, there's a saying, market pull, market push, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included in that, often assume we know the market, right? And we make a lot of decisions and invest a lot of money in possibly areas that go off road really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any of those moments where you got pretty far down a road and had to bring it back on?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, many times. I think one of the, we made a pivot from camelina oil to roasted bean snacks. So that was the right direction. That was a pivot in the right direction, reading the market. Better for you snacks were growing. Could we have predicted the protein and fiber boom we're in right now? Not necessarily, but we knew that if we kept creating minimally processed, like nutrient dense foods, that we would be on the right track. But then along the way, we had this camelina oil product that we still needed to figure out what to do with. And so we did pivot, off script and kind of go off the path into equine supplementation because of just simply interest, like this sort of weird veering path into a place that we didn't really understand, a market we didn't necessarily understand. And we went down that path for 3 or 4 years. And you think it's a bit of a tag on, you're like, well, we'll grow revenues here and we'll reinvest the profits into building the snack brand. But I think along the way, you don't actually realize how distracting that really is, right? And how fragmenting of resources that turns out to be. And so we ended up exiting that about 3 years ago and really sort of cleaning up the business and defining exactly who we were and what we wanted to be, which was playing in this better for you snack space and really focusing on the power of pulses at the end of the day. And that has been game changing for us and meant the world to us in terms of being ready and positioned to capture the growth that we're now experiencing with the tailwinds we have in the market behind protein and fiber and clean eating.
Yeah. And did you then so you make that pivot with the oil and say, it's a distraction. That's a huge moment, right? Mm-hmm, where now all of a sudden your energy can go in. And so you noticed that being a huge catalyst and a big push for the business. And I'm sure the people that you're working alongside, where it's like, now all of a sudden the focus becomes super concentrated.
Oh, absolutely. Like it was. And what's interesting is in the moment, like now looking backwards, very obvious, clearly the right decision. But in the moment, it is not obvious. It is not clear. And so you really need to, it's just all about, thought process and staying true to your values and the direction that you're heading and just being smart about the decisions you make. And so, you've got to take the leap and you've got to make the hard choices and then trust that, with hard work and effort and just sticking in it, that it'll pay off eventually.
Did you have an advisory board or anything that was walking alongside you during that stage where, enough people were, at the table saying this isn't the right path?
Yeah, we've had a formal board for quite some time, since we were, when we started, seeking investment outside of our founding group, that's when we sort of formalized the board, and that's been a journey unto itself. But yes, when we were making these strategic decisions to get into or get out of certain product lines, for certain we had the board around us advising. And I think I have tried to really build a board culture that is one of advisory and not just governance. And so they've certainly been helpful and supportive in that way as well. So that when we're preparing and presenting at these board meetings, it's fruitful and adding value. It's really not just to check a governance box.
Right. Which is so important, right? Like that advisory side of a board it holds so much value. Mm-hmm. And I think as a CEO, if we think about leadership and your transition, into that, especially as a CEO with a board governed company, it's important to have those people in the room to be able to leverage and rely on for their insights and feedback, right? Were you able to select the board?
Some selected, some not. So as we've done rounds of financing in the equity space, we've brought on investors that, as part of the equity, they get a board seat. So we do have a portion of the board that's investor-based, and then a portion of the board that's independent. Two specific individuals, one that had a long career at Kraft Heinz in the sales and marketing space, and then the other that has grown her own amazing company from scratch to, $500 million. So actually an Alberta-based Angela Santiago, so from the potato company. So been there, done that, in the manufacturing. She does her own manufacturing as well as branding. So yeah, and then Brian Arbick from Kraft Heinz. So, those are the formal individuals on the formal board. And then, of course, many advisors and mentors that I lean on in a more casual sense, depending on the problem that I'm grappling with. Yeah,
for sure. Let's talk about you for a minute. So what were you doing before shooting the shit at the curling rink?
Well, I was 24. So I was very young. Out of university, I have an economics degree. So I like to call it a business degree, but it's not really a business degree. It's an economics degree. And I just had 18 months work experience out in the market, just doing some estate planning at an investment company. And this opportunity came across my plate. So from my dad, and I think I always had this sense that I wanted to run a business, own a business. I just didn't know what kind of business that would be. And so honestly, at the age of 24, you have nothing to lose, right? And I think it's a great time to jump into the unknown because there's so little to lose at that point. And so that's what I did. And it's been a journey of absolutely had no idea what I was in for, but I don't think I'd pick any other path. I've had so much personal growth and personal learning, and it's been extremely challenging, but also very rewarding at the same time.
How much of your formal economics degree, we can call it a business degree, were you able to use whatever you want to call it as you went forward in this? Or, how much of it was just from the frying pan into the fire?
Yeah, frying pan into the fire, probably more so. There's not a lot of skills or actual learnings from economics that I bring into the business. But I think what university, just the whole experience taught me was just constantly wading into the unknown and not letting fear stop you. Tackling hard problems. Economics is interesting because it's theory-based for the first 2 years, and then all of a sudden you get into your third year and you're getting a math degree that you had no idea you were in for. So I was like, what is this subject that I'm studying right now? And so you just learn to cope and build networks to help you make it through and succeed. And so that really is what business is at the end of the day. It's surrounding yourself with great people and finding good team members and solving hard problems every day. And so I think the whole experience of university is what's really helped in the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, it's an outwork, right? And I'm sure you still have some of those people you went to university with as part of your network.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
for sure. So what is the current team at Three Farmers? How big was it other than the three of you, or four, I guess four at the start? What does that look like today? And how are you managing that group?
So today we're about 75 people on, company wide. I would say we're probably going to close the year probably closer to 95 to 100. We're growing quite swiftly right now. And a lot of that people growth has just happened over the last, I would say 24 months. So a lot on the manufacturing side. So we opened our facility here in Saskatoon. We consolidated all of our manufacturing into one space in 2023. And then throughout 2024, it was just really making things work and getting process nailed down. And then 2025 was when the growth really hit. We opened a couple of new channels that are significant volume. So now not only retail, but we're into club, which is, Costco, Canada and US, and then ingredient in a big way as well. So supplying other brands with our products for them to use. So those channels really catapulted us into high growth mode. So we doubled our team last year, and then we'll do nearly the same again this this year. So certainly significant growth. And it's just brings about different challenges, right? Like we want to keep our values and our culture very front of mind. And we want to bring people into the company that really believe in what we're doing. And as you get larger, that sometimes gets harder to do. And so just figuring out systems and processes to make sure that we build the team that we can be really proud of at the end of the day.
So when you now have this team growing to upwards of 100 people, your role, obviously, you're not side by side these people every day. How does your role look today?
It's in some cases fast transition, but some cases slow transition. So I'm still very hands-on in certain sales capacities, depending on the channel that we're servicing. So I'm still, in the business on the daily when it comes to sales. But operationally, we've really structured our team for me to be far more hands-off. And so that has been a slower progression over time. So, mid 2020, what year are we in here? Yeah, so mid to late 2024, I was still on the floor in the morning doing production meetings, right? And very side by side with teams, still in hiring meetings with operators. That all shifted in 2025. So we put the right leadership team in place throughout the facility. So director of operations, proper production manager, warehouse manager. And so with those individuals, I'm now able to take a step back. And then the latest is being able to step away from more of the production planning piece. So acting as that bridge between sales and operations, getting somebody else sort of built up through the organization to take that daily need off my plate. So really, ultimately, what we want is me to be less in the daily and more in the strategic realm full time. So thinking about where the business is going, looking forward, managing investors and shareholders and finance objectives. So I think every day is a climb to get there, but we're making good headway this year. Yeah.
Do you enjoy that? A lot of people struggle with it, right? Like that's a big thing. It's your baby, and I commend you. Like that's pretty short, 18 months to figure out how to remove from operations. Like that's a short time frame. But a lot of people find that to be a huge struggle too. How are you managing that? Are you enjoying it?
It's always a bit daunting looking into it because you think, man, there's so much knowledge in my head and so much history. How could I ever, download this into another human being? But at the end of the day, we hire, our methodology around here is hire somebody that can do it way better than me. And so that's what we do is we hire people that know what, they have experience, they know what it should look like, but they're able to step into it, what it looks like today and take it there. So it gives me a lot of confidence. And honestly, I really love the strategic pieces. I even, for the most part, love the board management pieces. It pushes me in ways that help me grow on the daily. So my communication skills, my strategic thinking skills. So once I'm on that path of letting go, I have no problem moving through that process and passing it along because I know that what's on the other side is something that's that I know I'm just going to enjoy even more. So I haven't had that issue, but I do know a lot of owner operators that do have challenges letting go. I think it's a trust factor, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's we're in that mode right now too with the landscaping business is, trying to figure out ways to remove me from the operational side, and it's hard. Some of it is hard because of me, some of it's hard because of everything that's 20, 30 years locked in the brain, right? So, and you can't give it all at once either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I think so I think it comes down to really good people. And then the other thing is controlling my response to change as well, right? So because obvious once they come in and they take a look around, there's change is required. And it's often change that, is changing something maybe I had a hand in putting in place, obviously, or structuring. So just setting the ego aside and just knowing that, like, at the end of the day, it's what's best for the company, and what worked then does not work today, and letting them do and work their magic is really important.
Yeah, what got you here isn't going to get you there, right? So
totally.
And when you think about, the level of growth you're experiencing, do you see that continuing for the next immediate future?
I do. Yeah. I think for us, it was a tough slug to sort of cross that 10 million threshold. I think there's thresholds in growth depending on the industry that you're in and the products you produce. For us, 10 million was a really tough barrier to get to. I think because we are educating about a new category. We're not a Me Too item. This is a new item to market. Nobody's doing what we do. So it took a long time to get there. But this shift from 10 to 50 is very quick. And so I do see this growth continuing for the next few years. And I would expect that we'll hit a ceiling where, new market entry, if you think about US or export internationally, that's where the slowdown occurs. So if we can get ahead of that and we start planning now, that's kind of how we're going to circumvent that slowdown and make sure that we don't stall out.
Yeah, and there is the role of the CEO, right? That exactly. Is why you have to be removed from operation, or you become the bottleneck. Totally,
absolutely, and that's exactly it.
Yeah, let's talk about breaking into the food industry. I can't even imagine how challenging that was or how scary that was. But what is one thing, if somebody's listening here, that they have that good idea, they were BSing maybe at the hockey rink, not the curling rink, but what's one thing that you would typically say would be underestimated about breaking into the food sales industry?
Well, for sure, one thing that we underestimated is how much investment it will take, how much money it will take. And then also how much time it will take, depending, again, on the category you're entering and the type of item you have, right? That you need that market tailwind behind you. You can't throw enough dollars behind a sleepy category and try and spur fast growth, right? It's a losing proposition. So I think you need to pick the category wisely and make sure it's in growth mode, and make sure you're coming to market with a truly differentiated product, not just another Me Too. And really, just understand what makes you different and what consumer problem you're trying to solve. I think that would, if we had looked at it from that lens early on, maybe things would have been a little faster or a little bit more smooth for us, right? But for us, it was more like, oh, we love chickpeas. Why don't we roast them and sell them to retailers? It was far less strategic, right?
Yeah. Everyone's firing them in the oven. And you're talking to somebody who has tried to roast chickpeas, and it just sucks. So they never end up tasting good. So no. Yeah. How hard is it to win shelf space? So now you're talking, you're in the box stores, right? You've got Costco, you've got, I know you're in Sobeys, you're in the supermarkets. How hard is it to not only win that shelf space, but maintain that shelf space?
For us, that was actually one thing. Shelf space, certainly we've had our issues, depending on the item and the timing that we were presenting. But our products, right from camelina oil to the roasted chickpeas or the roasted fava that we launched, at least here in Canada, shelf space has come, I want to say easy, but it flowed for us. It was not the biggest challenge for us. We had unique items buyers were interested in hearing about. They were Canadian based. And we were often early to market, right? Like the only roasted chickpea, right? And there was a US competitor for a short period of time, but we soon lapped them. So shelf space for us in Canada has not been such an issue. The US is a different story. It's far more competitive down there. We don't have the whole homegrown Canadian angle in the US. And they're a different consumer. I know they're just south of us, but different flavor profiles, different eating experiences. So that has been a bit of a challenge for us, for sure. Yeah.
How much, just something popped in my mind when you were talking there, the whole Buy Canadian thing. So how much has changed in the last year and a bit since the changeover in the US and all of a sudden tariffs and a big push by Canadian, right? Did you see a bump?
For us, it was always Canada first. So we, like 80% of our business is here in Canada. And so we were able to double down and really take advantage of that. So it's been phenomenal for our growth for sure. And I mean, the world is just getting more complex. And so somebody framed it up to me one time as, you want to have a strong base at home in Canada so you have somewhere to run home crying to when it doesn't work out in that new market. I'm like, okay, well, noted. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and it gives you that financial comfort too, right? That security blanket in a way, knowing that you have a stable market that's already supporting you as a manufacturer. And it allows, like, risk is a lot easier when there's that security blanket that you can kind of grasp onto.
Yeah, you have levers, right? You have levers that you can turn on and shut off as needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and again, these were things I didn't really recognize 10 years ago, right? But now, absolutely looking backwards, who wants to be investing and growing two markets at once, right?
Oh.
Like one at a time, right? This takes enough money as it is, one at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, yet I think a lot of entrepreneurs, it's so easy to want to build the $50 million company day one, right? And all your focus is how do I get to 50 million? How about just how do you get to a sale? Like one would be great, right? And yeah, I'm excited for it because I think that's remarkable. Perfect. You just hit a lot of really like timing on some things. That's just been great, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've recently hit on some very good timing things, but the prior 10 years were just a fight for survival, right? Because I think timing is incredibly important. And so if you're going to pioneer a new item or a new space, you don't know exactly when that right timing is, but you need to be early, right? You want to catch the wave, right? So you need to be before it. But are you 2 years early? Are you 5 years early? Are you 10 years early? And if you're 10 years early, how are you surviving until that timing hits, right? And I think, again, if I were to go backwards and if I had a crystal ball, I would say we were a little early, but, COVID was right in there as well. So that disrupted a lot of things. And so it could have been a completely different story had we not had, 4 years of disruption around COVID and then inflation and just consumers just trying to regulate what is going on and how am I managing my household purchases through this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Although I will say, like, I just, so give the shout out here, I've got my bag, bought it on Amazon. Very affordable. Like for a snack product, that 18 bags for whatever it was, $22. We've all been to the grocery store. Nobody likes going grocery shopping anymore. Yeah. This actually felt, I will credit, this felt like a good deal to me.
That's also one of the timing things. And as maybe potentially the silver lining coming out of COVID was now healthy options, honestly, are price parity with a bag of chips at the end of the day, right? Like we are competitive. So we're packed full of nutrition. We're clean ingredient. We're quality ingredient. We're minimally processed. And we are price parity with a bag of conventional potato chips. So consumers have valid options now if they want to convert to a healthier lifestyle. And so I think that's one of the things that's playing in our favor right now for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's talk flavors. You have one flavor in particular that seems to have just everybody's latching onto. Which one is that?
Dill pickle is definitely our number one in Canada. On the core. We just launched a ranch snack mix into Costco. So ranch is we're learning a lot about ranch. So ours is more like a cool ranch. So it's a salty ranch versus a creamy ranch. So the verdict's out on that, but it's going bonkers. The snack mix concept itself, high protein, high fiber, super clean ingredient, you cannot go wrong. So we're seeing wonderful pickup, but yeah, so the ranch is doing well, but we are thinking about doing a dill. We have launched a dill, but in a larger club pack, and so we'll see where that goes. But dill pickle for sure, you can't go wrong with dill pickle right now. Yeah.
No, it's just a dill pickle pizza, dill pickle this, dill pickle, fried dill pickles, right? And it was funny because, I got this bag. I knew you were coming on. I'm like, and I meant to order it last week. Totally forgot. Thank goodness for Amazon 24 hours. Shows up. First thing, Levi and I, we crack open the dill pickle, right? We're like, dang, these are good. Since then, I've had about 6 bags between the barbecue, sweet chili heat, and everything else. So they're amazing. They really are. Like they're a super tasty snack, fun to eat. They're crunchy, great texture. Yeah.
Low sugar. Like that's
right.
The other challenge, right? If you're looking for a clean snack, it's pretty hard to find something like any bar on the market, no matter how clean it says it is. You're managing a sugar content, right? So, I'm very happy that I get to come to work and make snacks like we make. Like we can literally feel so good about what we're putting into the marketplace for consumers. So, yeah,
that's awesome. What did you just won an award? What award did you win, and what does that mean for you guys?
Yeah, so it was the Chatelaine Best Better For You Snack Award, I believe is the title of it. So, I mean, honestly, it's just credibility, right?
Sure.
At the end of the day, we came into this space as a small player and, it's just, credibility and it's great for the team to see sort of the country sort of rallying around our products and us growing so phenomenally over the last 2 years. So, it means a lot to get that type of recognition, that third-party recognition. Yeah,
it's that win, right? You talked about it at the very beginning, celebrating those wins. Sometimes now maybe the wins feel a little bigger. It's an award, not necessarily, we sold X number of units this month, right?
Yeah.
But celebration is good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a different kind of validation for sure. And made in our own plant that we finally 100% control, right? So
awesome.
Feels extra good.
Yeah. And so all of if we talk about Saskatchewan roots, so Saskatchewan's a very interesting province to me. Often made fun of within Canada, right? I'm in Medicine Hat. We're right on the border with Saskatchewan, and I'm pretty sure I can see Manitoba. But boy, oh boy, like talk about an entrepreneurial spirit in that province. I have met so many people in the last year and a half that have done really, really cool things. And I'm pretty sure Jeremy Lang is somebody who I met Jeremy last. Yeah, I met him last year at SeaTac West out in Banff. Had Jeremy on the podcast not long ago, and he said, you gotta have her on. But yeah, like what's in the water in Saskatchewan right now?
Honestly, I think it's a product of growing up in this province. Like I find as I get older too, like when you experience the 4 seasons here, you really realize like how hardy and like how gritty you really need to be. I love the 4 seasons. I need 4 seasons, but by the end of the season, you're so ready to say goodbye. And I guess we're just coming out of like the longest winter that ever existed. But I really do think that it's just a product of waking up every day and just finding the good in the day, right? And I think Saskatchewan people have that resilience. It's a very interesting culture and so helpful too. I mean, one of our investors has a portfolio day and like a broad swath of industries. And so you get chatting with another company that's implementing, an AI tool or finding ways to leverage AI for efficiency in some of their finance functions. And they offer up an hour and a half of their time and some of their team's time to just take you through how they're using it and some of their learnings and how they grew it. And it's just, you don't find that everywhere, right? They're just genuinely wanting to be helpful.
No, you don't find that. It's almost like Saskatchewan is the epitome of like a province that's a small town. I think is probably the best way you could describe it, right? Like there's an incredible patriotism in a way with people that are from Saskatchewan, nauseatingly when it comes to the Riders, just for the record.
Yes, we do love our Riders. It's the only team we have. We need to rally behind them.
Yeah, you do, for sure. So are you going to be able to, as you proceed into this, extreme growth, are you going to be able to keep the roots in Saskatchewan?
Yet to be seen. I mean, we are doing another phase of expansion here in Saskatoon. And so for the foreseeable future, all of the manufacturing will continue to be here in the prairies. I think in a couple of years' time, as we sort of outgrow this footprint, I think that's the discussion that will need to be had, right? Is what's most efficient, economical, sustainable from a logistics perspective, obviously. So we still need to look at what that means for Three Farmers, but certainly keeping our roots in Canada and the manufacturing in Canada is very important to us. I think everybody's seeing the importance of that these days. And so, but whether it's Saskatoon specifically, that has yet to be seen.
Sure. So you've mentioned venture, right? Venture capital who's invested in. Is all that Canadian based at this point, or have you seen any come in from out of country?
It's all Canadian based at this point. Yeah. And a nice mix of investors, I think, around the table too. So some government funded and based, and then Saskatchewan based, where they're truly, just behind growing Saskatchewan or prairie based businesses. And then District Ventures is involved as well. So Arlene from a marketing and sales perspective and a CPG lens. So we've got a really nice group of investors around the table when it comes to decision making and growth. Yeah,
That's awesome. So you get to work with, maybe not so much anymore, but you get to work with farmers. We'll call it every single day. Do they really complain as much as people think they do?
I have come from a family of farmers. So my dad is a farmer. My two brothers are farmers. We all complain, right? That's what we do, right? Like we like to, who's the hardest done by, right? Yeah. Certainly I see that thread in my family. Farmers, obviously, maybe there's complaining on the forefront, but they have to be pretty optimistic to get up and do what they do every single day, right? They're battling a lot of unknowns and wearing many, many hats. Farming is such a different type of business, right? The complexities and ever changing as well. Like there's a lot of technology in farming that's changing the way they run their businesses and the way they man up and find team members to work for them too. So, hats off to farmers, because that's a tough gig, right? And it's only getting harder. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a tough gig. And I joke about it. Like we're in the heartland of irrigated agriculture down here, right? And they get a bad rap. Like I'm sitting here right now and I'm going, what you just said, it's not easy. They get up every day. Well, they've got $2.20 diesel right now. They've got this, they've got that. And they're trying to do something that is really hard to control. The weather, so many external elements push against, what they do. Have you had years where, over these, we'll call you, a 10-year overnight success, whatever that number is, right? Have you had years actually where climate has affected your ability to produce product, or has it been fairly consistent?
It's been fairly consistent. We've certainly had years where the climate did affect the quality of chickpeas, for instance, coming into the facility, where we had to actually bypass an entire crop year and go back and pull inventory from prior years just because of the way it dried down in the field because of the weather patterns. So we have had disruptions like that. Looking forward, it is a bit concerning. What's going to happen, right? If, these super dry years when yields are down. I don't know what's going to happen. And farming is transitioning too, right? There's far less small farms. You need to be a large farm in order to manage the CapEx and the investment required. To your point, with the price of diesel and the price of inputs right now, farmers could find themselves upside down, right? And if we see an exodus out of farming, what does that look like? So it's definitely on our radar in terms of locking in forward contracting our needs and staying really close to our suppliers about what that volume looks like. So I think there are a lot of unknowns, and I don't know if we're thinking about it hard enough or in a broad enough scale to really understand how catastrophic that would be. I hope I hope it's on somebody's radar at the federal level, because it is concerning. There's a lot of transitioning going on at the farm level.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think there's opportunities there, but with every opportunity comes an extreme amount of risk attached to it too. And, you just mentioned it, like you do your best to mitigate risks you're not in control of either, right? Like crops are great, business is great, crops go down. You better have another lever to pull to be able to keep things flowing out the door, right?
Yeah. 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 And building that redundancy in your system and your supply chain. Right. But, I don't know I don't know what that redundancy looks like for farmers at the end of the day. Right. It is a very complex business and, only time will tell, I think, what's going to happen.
Yeah. But we love them.
Yes. Yeah. We love them. They're necessary, them. Right? Yeah, yeah. A very necessary part of the supply chain. Yeah.
Yeah, they are definitely. I want to do a few rapid fires here for you. What is your favorite flavor of fava bean right now?
Right now, I'm eating a lot of ranch.
Are you really?
A lot of ranch snack mix. Yes. Yeah.
All right. I got to go. So when you say snack mix, is it just the fava bean or is it a blend of other things?
It's a blend of other things. So the majority of the blend is our fava bean, our whole roasted fava bean. And then we have a high protein crisp that's actually made from fava beans as well. Same supplier that we source from. There's a pea protein puff and then a pretzel. So it's like a Chex mix, except way cleaner, way higher protein and fiber, and just super good for you. You have to go buy it. It's honestly,
you're
you
killing me right now.
You probably won't be able to find it because it's sold out so quickly. But
I like Munchie Mix. It's kind of the same thing. Levi just brought it up here. Yeah, I'm probably going to go look for this later. And then I'll just gorge on it. But that's good. Okay, so I'm going to... They're in stock at Superstore. He said, perfect. Go into Superstore later.
Yes. Yeah.
You're a big book reader. What is one book every entrepreneur and leader should read?
One of the books that changed the trajectory for me when I felt I was sort of cratering under I was still wearing a lot of hats. Couldn't figure out how to transition items off my plate. Was a book called The One Thing. Earlier on. So, but Built to Last is a good one. Phil Collins. Sort of those. And then another that really changed the way we prioritize business around here. And we still implement this through the company today is called Traction. Yeah. So implementing like the EOS system for just how we manage priorities and get things done around the business as we scale. Yeah.
And so you operate within the EOS framework?
We do. I would love to bring a third-party consultant in to actually we implemented it internally ourselves. Yeah. So I would say there's a few weak areas where we haven't truly captured the value from it. But we do quarterly rocks and the meeting cadence and all of the scorecard measurements. Yeah, it's been game-changing for this organization and such a roadmap to scale.
I know.
It's really like the rule book, and it just takes some of the complexities out of it.
I want to stay here for a minute. So we've been running EOS for a year now. Same thing. We implemented it internally. How long have you guys been operating within it now?
I would say it was 2018, I think, when we, as a leadership team, we read the book together and we started implementing together the framework. Yeah. And so one of the challenges is as you transition new leaders into the company or build out certain departments is having everybody adopt. And I think that's where we could do well is having that one sort of captain that's sort of auditing and ensuring that we're keeping within the principles of the EOS. We're not there right now. But I think the core principles that we use, like the rocks, the meeting cadence and scorecards, the measurables are a no-brainer, absolutely imperative to manage the business. Yeah.
And it's so funny because, everybody should read the book Traction if you're in business. I don't care if you've been in business for 50 years or 5 days. Everybody should read that book. I don't know about you, but after I read it and then decided this was going to be a path forward, everything seemed when you read it, it's well, that's obvious. But then when you do it, you realize how not obvious it was. My favorite thing about it, if I could say, is just the quarters. You're accomplishing things within quarters. So when you think about your scalable growth that has happened over the last 2, 3, 4 years, Some of it due to, what we'll call luck, right? With timing, but you got to be good to be lucky to be good. If you were to say, what is how am I framing this? How much has EOS been a contributing factor going all the way back to 2018 and getting you ready for when the market was ready for you?
Oh, like critical. Like the one thing that comes to mind specifically is our manufacturing expansion. Like that was a 2-year project. It affected every single department within this organization. And basically you were able to take that extremely overwhelming project. And when you break it down into quarterly priorities, like what needs to be done in the next 3 months, and then what needs to get, all of a sudden you reach the end and you've hit your timelines and you're on budget and your team's aware and the communication was solid. So that was like a really obvious example of, like, honestly, without it, I don't know how that project would have gone. I think it would have been just a disaster. And then we did a similar project with our rebrand recently. We did a whole pack design change, a massive project, and then rolling it out across all the different SKUs, the formats, the channels, layering on promotions and secondary displays. So again, a huge team effort, and breaking it down into quarters made it absolutely manageable. So I do not know how a company would operate without that model. Yeah.
I said to someone the other day, I said, you literally don't even feel like you're working at it, yet you turn around one day and you look how much you've accomplished. Mm-hmm. It's the weirdest feeling is what I have found. Yeah. Yeah.
We do that all the time. We're just going into our annual leadership planning for 2027. And we come out with actual measurable, executable responsibilities per department and per leader. And I can guarantee you in 8 months' time, we don't have to talk about them every day. We don't have to revisit it all the time. But, 6 to 8 months from now, we will be tracking to completion. It just subconsciously is ingrained, and people just go and do because we're aligned. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So if nobody has figured it out yet, Gino Wickman, go read the book Traction.
Yeah.
What is the most underrated skill in a business leader right now?
Honestly, I think, and this might sound cliche but it's really just understanding that what drives a business forward is your relationships with your people. At the end of the day, it just still is. The alignment, the communication, the clarity of objectives, it's literally the most important part. It's not the grinding away at the work. It's literally the relationship with the people. Yeah. Internal and external. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Walking the operational floor, right? Maybe you're not shoulder to shoulder with them every day, but getting out there and being present, having conversations. And then, like you said, same thing on the external with new customers, clients, prospects, market segments, whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's making them feel like you're in the trenches with them. Mm-hmm. Not that you need to be side by side all the time, but you're in the trenches with them. You see the effort and the challenges, and you're there to help, right? I think sometimes we get too far away from the front lines and we forget that maybe.
Yeah, it's easy to do, right? You get, it's the blinders end up on and tunnel vision and away we go. So
yeah.
Natasha, I want to ask you one final question. What does success look like? It's two-parter. What does success look like for Three Farmers in the next 5 years? And the second part of that is, what does success look like for you in the next 5 years?
These are very hard questions.
I pride myself on that.
Yeah. Success for Three Farmers. Honestly, there's a revenue target in mind, but we want to be a leading brand in salty snacks, and not just better for you. We think we can be a leading brand in overall salty snacks in Canada. I think we can be, I was just saying to my partner today, Canadians, darling brand. There's not a lot of snack food brands that are born, bred, raised right here at home in Canada. We can be that brand. We are that brand. And so I think that awareness and that market share is really top of mind for Three Farmers, and just being that go-to snack for Canadians.
And the revenue comes with it.
Comes with it, right? Yeah. So that's what I see for the brand. Success for myself. I mean, I would love to be leading this I mean, just by nature of how we've raised money, I don't know, what that ultimately looks like, but I would love to lead this company as long as I possibly can. I love the growth. I think I have it in me. And so I'd like to continue to lead this organization, really focused on building high performing leadership teams, and then finding space to balance that with making sure my personal life doesn't suffer. I think that's one of the things that gets lost in the fray. And certainly I've had my moments. So I don't think I could call myself successful if my company's thriving and my personal life is a disaster. So trying to figure out, I don't like the word balance, but
harmony.
Yeah. Making sure those two things are living in harmony and that I'm thriving in both areas of my life. Yeah.
That's great. And that, I think, is a really important thing for all entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders to remember. And you said it so well, like find harmony between the two, right? Because if one is winning out over the other, nobody enjoys a personal life that's suffering, right? So
yeah, it's hard to show up your best self when there's issues in the area. Yeah.
Natasha, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I know things are incredibly busy. It's springtime in the prairies, so it's a wild time of year. But really do genuinely appreciate your time. This was a ton of fun. I learned a lot. I'm going to devour a few more bags of snacks here today. And I wish you all the success in the coming months and years. And I hope to stay connected with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Yeah. And I'm going to get up to Saskatoon and me and Jeremy are going to go for lunch. So.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe a plant tour. We would love to do a tour.
I would love it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anytime.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you, Natasha.